Whenever they sing of white snow, I think of Colombian snow. That is what comes to mind. Colombian snow. All right, recap number 2. I mean, this is the season that you really want the recap for. This is where all the heavy shit comes in. Season 1, world building, character introduction, power scaling, introducing 4 potential princesses, introducing their respective knights, introducing archbishops, introducing whale and things like that, like world building. Season 2, a lot more plot, like a lot heavier. This is the one I really want the recap for because it's just a lot denser. And there was a lot happening, particularly around the Tea Party and Echidna, and then completely getting thrown off by the fact that Satella isn't the big baddie, and then it's like, wait, what the hell? Like there's a lot in season 2. It's very densely packed.
Battle with the witch cult has ended, and Subaru is traveling back to Krush's manor with best girl Emilia, when he discovers that everybody has forgotten Rem. Who's Rem? It is then revealed to us that Krush and Rem were ambushed by the Sin Archbishops of Greed and Gluttony. They both got devoured by the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, Lie, which caused Rem to fall into a coma, and no one but Subaru remembers her. Krush just lost her memories, which is still pretty bad. Now Subaru is obviously devastated, but he puts that main character brain of his to work and commits suicide, thinking that if he can kill himself, his return by death will allow him to go back and prevent the tragedy. Unfortunately, when he returns by death, he goes back to a time after the tragedy has already occurred.
I'm just imagining this outcome where he tries to kill himself and he ends up stabbing himself, but it's not quick enough, so he has to try to stab himself again. And he keeps failing. And he's just trying to kill himself. But it's not working. It's like that thing from, I think South Park did it, where this guy tries to commit suicide with a gun, and he, shoots himself, but he's not dead, so he keeps trying to shoot himself. And he just keeps injuring himself, but he's not dead. It happened to a lot of people that try to blow their brains out. The problem is they don't actually hit the brain, they go too forward, and they end up blowing their vision, so they're actually blind, and they've just flashbanged themselves, and they can't hear, but they're still alive. And so now they're blind, the gun is somewhere on the ground, they are not dying, but they are in pain, and then they're gonna try to find the gun to kill. It's like, it would just be hilarious to watch Subaru fail that way and just suffer for 5 minutes. That's where my mind goes. It's just like, I'm gonna stab myself, I'm dead instantly. It's like, yeah, Subaru, nice try. You've got the ribcage there, which is specifically there to prevent you from just stabbing your heart. It's not so easy. Chances are you will actually hit the ribcage. You won't be able to stab the heart. You'll be in a crap ton of pain, but it won't be lethal, and you're going to be trying to be stabbing yourself again. But anyway, it's okay. It's okay. Missed opportunity.
He and Emilia then have a conversation about the alliance with the alliance members, and they all continue their alliance. After that, Subaru starts grieving for Rem because only he remembers her, and Emilia comforts him. Well, he got Emilia's attention at the sacrifice of Rem. Subaru, Emilia, and Best Boy Otto
He didn't get her attention, he got her sympathy. There's a difference.
then return to Roswaal Manor with a comatose Rem. There they meet Frederica, who I legitimately thought was an enemy when I first saw her, but she's actually just an ex-maid who returned at Ram's request. We also find out that Petra, one of the girls from the village, just started working at the manor as an apprentice. My boy Subaru then goes to find Jailbait and ask her about the gospel. Beatrice, then tells him to go to the sanctuary, and I was just as confused as he was when I watched the episode. Frederica
That's Soul Eater, isn't it?
tells Emilia that Roswaal, Ram, and the villagers they had evacuated are all at the sanctuary. Frederica then tells them that to get to the sanctuary, they need to go past a barrier that locks it from the outside world. She gives Emilia a crystal that allows them to pass through this barrier. And so on to the sanctuary brick road they go. As they begin passing the barrier, however, the crystal starts to glow and Emilia falls unconscious. Subaru is then transported to the middle of a goddamn forest where he follows an elf girl. He goes into the ruins where we then meet the woman who wants to give us her juices, Echidna, the Witch of Greed. Now,
Echidna. What?
Subaru's obviously confused because she's supposed to be long dead, but then she reveals that they're just in a mental space. that her soul lives in, and she then invites him for some tea. Tea time is special, what can I say? So they talk for a little, then Subaru remembers he was actually on a mission to go to the sanctuary and gets up and leaves. He wakes up back at the ruins and is attacked by Garfield. And
Doesn't he not remember anything that happens during the tea parties?
even though it's pretty obvious, if you haven't figured it out by now, Garfield is Frederica's brother. After Subaru mentions Frederica, Garfield stops attacking him and takes him over to the rest of his crew. Said crew then go over to Roswaal and Ram. It's then revealed that the barrier that they're inside of keeps in half-breeds. This includes Emilia. To break the barrier, a half-breed must go into the ruins and pass a trial. Roswaal tried, but he failed since he technically isn't really a half-breed. Garfield then reveals that all the other half-breed inhabitants of the sanctuary have taken the villagers hostage and demand that Emilia take the trial. Now, having literally no other choice but to take the trial if she wants to leave the sanctuary, she does, but Subaru notices that something has gone wrong and follows her in. Echidna then allows Subaru to...
How did you get Echidna? Where'd you get Echidna from? I know I'm bad with names, but where the hell did you get the Echidna from?
also partake in the trial because she likes him like that. And so Subaru falls asleep and wakes up back in Japan. They've managed to put 2 isekais in an isekai anime. Nice! And so Subaru wakes up in Japan without the memories of Emilia, Rem, and gang. And so we meet Subaru's mother and father. His father is built like an absolute G and his mother is an absolute baddie. They try to get him to go back to school, but obviously this man isn't going to go back. He's been through a little too much. We then see that Subaru keeps on having headaches whenever he tries to run from his problemos. Subaru's father sees that something's bothering his son, so they go out for a walk. It's then revealed that the headaches are caused by the suppressed memories of Emilia, Ram, and the whole gang. As Subaru remembers everything, he all of a sudden becomes a Chad, just like his dad. They have a man-to-man, father-to-son conversation, and Subaru tells his father that he wanted to abandon him, but also tells him that he's finally found people who accept him, and the two become homies again.
I'm sorry, but what about this conversation made him a Chad?
It seems the two had issues, but now they're chill again. And so the next day, Subaru puts on his uniform and goes to school, and his mother wishes him well. When he gets to school, however, he sees the witch-agreed Echidna there. Absolute baddie.
Where the fuck did you get Echidna? I thought you were making a joke at the beginning. At this point, I'm just like, even in the subtitle it says Echidna. Do you not know what a fucking Echidna is? It's an animal.
By the way, Echidna says good shit for clearing the first trial and overcoming his past, and says there's basically 2 more. And all of a sudden he wakes back up next to Emilia. She wakes up though and suffers a mental breakdown because she failed her own trial, because she's useless like that. I'm just kidding, Emilia can never be useless. So he picks her up and takes her back to the sanctuary where everybody's chilling, waiting for them. While they're all sitting around, they try to think of a way to go out the sanctuary without breaking the barrier. The sanctuary elder Ryuzu, who's actually the little elf girl Subaru was chasing after earlier, reveals that breaking the barrier is the only way to get out of the sanctuary. Oh, by the way, for some reason Puck can't come out of his crystal, so this has got Emilia in a bind as well. And so the next day, Emilia once again tries to clear the trials and fails spectacularly. Subaru and Roswaal then have a conversation which basically went, "Why you no help on witch cult attack? Cause I want you to take credit for it." F you, man. But remember, my fellow Emotos, Subaru has the main character brain, and he tells the sanctuary residents to let the villagers go and that Emilia will still stay behind to clear the trial for them. The people of the sanctuary aren't evil, so they let the villagers go. Subaru then returns to Roswaal Mansion, and when he goes there, it's pretty empty. All of a sudden, we meet the seductive assassin lady, and she kills him. This man cannot catch a break, goddamn. And so Subaru respawns right next to the crying Emilia, and tells her he'll complete the other trials himself. This makes Garfield think of him as a weenie, and disappoints Emilia, who thinks he doesn't trust her anymore. Subaru then goes to Roswaal and tells him about a plan to head back to the mansion early to check in with Frederica, and he says Ram should join him. On the way back, Ram has these vague memories about the past, which leads to Subaru telling her about Rem. At the mansion, Subaru reunites with Petra and reintroduces Rem and Ram. Granted, Rem is in a coma, so it's more Rem to Ram. He then asks Frederica why the hell he teleported because of the crystal that she gave him, but she can't answer him because of an oath she took or some shit. Elsa then appears. Oh my god, she's as bad as ever. And so Frederica starts to fight Elsa. She dies. And the others go over to Rem's room to protect her, where they're met by mob beasts and they die. Subaru then tries to protect Rem and jumps into her room when he's about to get killed by Elsa, but Beatrice saves him. Now Subaru is pissed and he tries to kill himself because he thinks he'll go back in time and save them all.
Subaru is pissed, so he tries to kill himself. Chad energy there, ladies and gentlemen. He's pissed. All he can do is kill himself.
Beatrice ain't having any of that shit, and she stops him. He then notices that she has a witch's gospel, just like the archbishops, and tells her, why the hell do you have a witch's gospel?
She's a librarian. She has all types of gospels. Why should she discriminate with one religion over another?
She then reveals that everything she has done has been under the orders of the gospel. Big baddie Elsa then appears and kills Subaru, cause why not? And so he respawns, and once again he's making plans to leave the trial to Emilia and goes to have a private talk with Garfield and a girl who looks oddly like Ryuzu. But as we have all learned, every single time he dies, the miasma of the witch around him increases, and so Garfield and Ryuzu think he's a witch cultist. They take him captive, but my boy Otto finds him and reveals that he and Ram have an escape plan. Subaru asks Otto, why the hell are you saving me? And Otto does the bullshit shonen, it's cause I'm your friend, homie. And this is when Otto became best boy. Subaru then goes to Roswaal and confronts him, asking why the hell does Beatrice have a gospel? Roswaal then reveals that it's one of the 2 tomes of wisdom, not a gospel, and that it reveals the person's future. He then says that all Subaru needed to do was tell Beatrice that he is that person, and this confuses my boy Subaru. I'm confused as well, actually. Garfield, however, is still hot on their tail and he starts chasing them. Patraj, Best Dragon, Otto, and the villagers help Subaru escape while Ram holds Garfield off, but he catches up and kills everybody. Subaru, however, makes it across the barrier, but then he's teleported by Frederica's crystal once again. He wakes back up at the sanctuary but finds out that it's abandoned. He's then ambushed and literally eaten alive by a horde of rabbits. These rabbits are also mobbies just like the white whale. Subaru's respawned and my boy is traumatized. I would be too, he just got eaten alive.
I gotta say, this is my favorite death.
But then Echidna comforts him.
Echidna!
Yes, Echidna, comfort my boy.
Okay, so his literal first trial was, I know that you're a shut-in NEET with no future that refuses to go back to school, and you probably spend all day watching Elf Girl anime, but like, your literal trial is to go outside. That was his trial. Go outside. Jesus Christ. I get it's supposed to be a little more complicated than that. Yes, Mum and Dad. I found a place that accepts me, even though it literally has to be an isekai. But like, I found a place where people accept me. I've made a choice in life and I'm not going to waste it in my bedroom. Okay, but that is your literal first trial. I mean, not setting the bar very high, are we?
She then tells him that she knows about his return by death and that he can freely talk to her in this space. Nothing's gonna happen. Subaru breaks down. He starts crying. He is weeping and Echidna comforts him. Echidna then reveals that the horde of rabbits is actually one of the 3 great mobbies created by the Witch of Gluttony, Daphne. They are referred to as the Great Rabbit.
Wait, isn't this the conversation where he tells Echidna that he can return by death? Why did you skip over that part? Because up until that point, he was breaking down because he couldn't share this info with anyone. Yet he shares it with Echidna. And then she's like, see? Not so bad. This is a recap! Why did you skip that part?
She then reveals that all the other witches also reside in this space and tells Subaru she can arrange a meeting with Daphne.
I'm watching a recap to remember shit. Why am I... Doesn't matter.
When he's supposed to meet Daphne, however, the Witch of Pride, Typhon, appears. She tests if he's a sinner, but to do this, she breaks off my boy's arms and shatters his body. Well, at least he's not a sinner, right, guys? Luckily, however, he is healed by Minerva, the Witch of Wrath. She heals him like she's a goddamn JoJo's character. She's Giorno Stan, my guy. He finally meets Daphne and they start arguing about the morality of her creating the big-ass mob beasts that literally kill everyone. She then tells him that the great rabbits attracted to large magical sources and that the sanctuary was literally full of it, so of course they'd go there. And so Subaru leaves, and when he goes back, he finds out that Satella has possessed Emilia. She's killed literally everybody and is about to devour him using her miasma, but Garfield saves him. During this, we can see that Roswaal is also getting devoured by the miasma, and he tells Subaru he'll have to try harder next time. Did this man know about Return by Death? And so Garfield tries to attack Satella with an army of Ryuzu clones, but it fails and they die. She then makes my boy Subaru go loco, but he kills himself. Obviously, he respawns and is happy to see that Emilia is still herself. Subaru then starts investigating the sanctuary and discovers an abandoned lab where he finds the original Ryuzu in suspended animation, like a crystal, kind of like Annie. He is then confronted by Ryuzu Mayor.
I love how they just basically like put an Attack on Titan spoiler in there. In case you haven't watched Attack on Titan, here's a spoiler. It's like, bruh.
This one, and she explains that they're all clones created by Echidna as part of an immortality experiment. She also reveals that having met Echidna, this makes Subaru an apostle of greed, giving him command over the clones. Welcome, Subaru, to the Echidna fan club. Subaru then goes to have a heart-to-heart with Emilia and basically says, "Trust me," and she goes, "Okay." She tells him to stay with her that night, not in a weird way, of course. And he says, "Okay, I won't leave." But literally the next morning he's out. He's on his way to the mansion but is stopped by Garfield. He somehow makes it so Garfield doesn't kill him and goes on to the mansion where he makes Frederica and Petra take Rem and evacuate before he confronts Beatrice.
I love how, like, Subaru's only course of action is either to kill himself or try to convince someone not to kill him. Fucking hilarious.
Subaru then takes the Tome of Wisdom right out of Beatrice's little childlike hands and finds it blank. She then reveals that she's under a contract to wait for that person who will kill her, and the two get into an argument, but then they're interrupted by big girl Elsa's arrival. Subaru takes Beatrice and they skedaddle, but then they're stopped by Melee? God damn, she's actually a mob beast tamer who's killed everybody else. So Beatrice and Elsa fight, and she kills Elsa, but Elsa somehow comes back to life and stabs her right in the back, and Beatrice dies. Before she dies, however, she teleports Subaru back to the sanctuary, and when he arrives, he finds out that it's snowing and that Emilia's gone literally batshit insane from failing the trial over and over again. Garfield thinks Emilia is the one causing all the snow and tells her to stop it, but Subaru thinks it's Roswaal and goes over to confront him. And so Garfield and Subaru go over to Roswaal's little residence, where Roswaal literally kills Ram and Garfield before revealing that he is in possession of the second Tome of Wisdom and that he knows Subaru can time loop.
You have to respect Roswaal in this. It's like, I know this timeline is fucked and this is the bad end route, so I'm gonna kill these two anyway. You know what I mean? But you have to look at it this way. Okay, Roswaal, he's so bad. He killed Garfield and Ram. Okay? He killed them by stabbing them through the heart. What's a better way to die? Being stabbed in the heart or being eaten alive by rabbits? Exactly. That was a mercy kill.
Great Rabbit literally attacks and kills Roswaal while Subaru survives just long enough with literal holes and parts missing from his body to reach Emilia. And so they share their first kiss while this man is literally dying with holes in his body. Hence the episode name, The Taste of Death. He respawns like a Call of Duty player and decides to go talk to Echidna, but instead of getting to her, he goes to the second trial. In this trial, he has to see the reactions of everybody else to his deaths. Watching all of these reactions is causing him to break down, but best girl Rem appears and calms him down. But something is sus, and it's revealed that the person in front of him is not Rem, but actually the Witch of Lust, Camilla. Echidna had actually sent her over to calm him down.
Echidna.
And he goes to confront Echidna, and she says she's willing to make a contract with him where he can consult her anytime. Just before he can accept, however, the other witches warn him not to trust Echidna, and she comes clean to Subaru, revealing her desire to obtain his return by death and to study it, and reveals that she is the one who put Beatrice in the library to wait for that person who doesn't actually exist.
Okay, there is something really weird here. If you make a contract with someone and the terms are not clear, like, this is probably a very big simplification of what this guy's summarizing, but he's basically saying, oh, you can consult me anytime if you make a contract with me. If you fail to stipulate that benefit comes at the cost of her using your ability whenever she wants, then what kind of contract is that? You know what I mean? Like, if the terms are never even mentioned, how can that be included as part of a contract? Contracts are supposed to be binding, particularly magical ones. You can't just be like, for example, if we form a contract together, I will let you use my phone as much as you want. And you're like, all right, deal. It's like, haha, I formed the contract, so I get to put corn cobs up your ass. Like, where was that in the fucking contract?
Subaru declines her contract, and then all of a sudden Satella appears. Satella then confronts Subaru and tells him he should love himself more. But this, coming from literally the person who is the root cause of all of his suffering, causes him to snap, and he rants about how his life literally doesn't matter before trying to kill himself to get out of the situation. Minerva, however, revives him, and Camilla reminds him of how people have grieved for him in the second trial, and causes him to second guess himself, and not kill himself. She tells Subaru that she's waiting for him to kill her, but then he says he will love himself more and that he will also come to save her, just like a normal isekai protagonist. He wakes up and finds out that he can't take the trials anymore, probably because he pissed off Echidna. He then confronts Roswaal, who reveals that he's extremely disappointed in Subaru for not taking advantage of his time looping abilities. He also reveals that he's the one who has hired Elsa to go and kill everybody at the manor. This is so he can be molded into his image. Subaru can either save the mansion or the sanctuary, not both. Subaru, however, realizes that Roswaal is an absolute madman and runs away and is confronted by Otto, who, like the best boy he is, tells him to stop shouldering his problems alone and to trust his homies a little more.
Okay, that is a very simplistic view that Roswaal says you can only save one, but you can't save both. That's also a little bit of a challenge. He's like, okay, you're not abusing the shit out of your time looping ability. It's not time looping, it's resetting. But anyway, you're not abusing that ability to get the best outcome possible. So I'm either going to put you in a situation where you have to abuse it, or in a situation where you have to make a choice. Subaru, up until this point, has been very indecisive with what he's doing. He just keeps trying different shit, and eventually he gets lucky. But he's not doing it consciously. He just keeps trying different shit, and eventually he gets lucky. He's not mastering shit. He's just getting lucky. Or Otto bails him out, or someone else bails him out, or a wild rem appears, or another witch appears or something. Like, that's not Subaru figuring out a problem. It's just getting lucky, It's... In a way, Roswaal's basically nudging him to force him to level up.
And that is where we end Re Zero Season 2 Part 1 Explained. If you liked the video, why don't you like the video, comment down below, and drop a subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next video. Toodaloo, man.
I mean, recaps are good. Unfortunately, it doesn't capture all the bits. I'm kind of shocked that it doesn't capture the bit that he was able to tell Echidna that he can return by death. Because it's a significant thing. Because then she wants to use that ability to her benefit. But anyway, recaps be recaps. Now you finished part 1. Here is one thing he didn't talk about. Betty mourned Geese's death when Subaru told her that he killed the Sin Archbishop with Sloth. I don't know if you still remember that. But she didn't mourn it because Betelgeuse was an archbishop. She mourned it because of who Betelgeuse was prior to being archbishop. And you only find out about that later in season 2. So at the time when you see it, it's like, why is she mourning Betelgeuse? The guy's an asshole. And it's like, Betty's like, he's not an asshole. But that is an emotionally charged response because she knows him for who he was, not what he became after he was corrupted by a witch. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's a bit different. I can understand not including that in this part, but, like, there are pretty significant plot points that weren't included in the recap. And I'd say telling Echidna that he can return by death is a significant one. But we don't know how she knew him. Well, yeah, but, like, the point is, we know that she knew him. He did say it. He didn't. Like, he overlooked it during that part of the conversation. He did mention it. He just said that Subaru basically broke down in front of Echidna and she comforted him. But he never said why he broke down. But anyway, it is what it is. Alright, part 2.
To see part 1 of season 2 Explained, Escalating convinces Subaru to let him help, and after telling him everything, the two form a plan.
Wait, so why does Otto have to convince Subaru to help even though Otto bailed out Subaru several times before without even having been asked? Anyway, it doesn't matter. See what I mean? Subaru is just lucky he had encountered someone like Otto that was willing to help him out for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, that's just failing upwards. He encounters a guy that's actually going to help him out because he's his besto friendo.
The next day, Subaru confronts Roswaal with a wager. If he can save both the mansion and the sanctuary, Roswaal must give up his tome. Roswaal agrees under the condition that if he wins, then Subaru must follow the tome's instructions. Subaru goes to check on Emilia and she reveals to him her past. Puck had found her frozen in ice and the two lived an isolated life until Roswaal found them and promised to save her fellow elves who were all ice sculptors if she won the royal selection. They said elves were chill, but I did not think they were this chill. She can't, however, remember anything before that, and it's because the contract with Puck is suppressing her memories. Subaru makes Puck appear, and Puck breaks the contract, deeming Emilia able to live without him. This causes Puck to disappear, and Emilia, overcome with grief, runs away, and the Ingram villagers search for her. Garfield also helps in the search for Emilia, but just as he's confronted by Otto, he finds out that Subaru is plotting something. Emilia, meanwhile, is hiding out in the ruins when she is confronted by Subaru. While holding off Garfield, Otto recalls his past. Due to his ability to talk to animals, he was constantly an outcast, on the move, and it wasn't until Subaru and gang saved him from the witch cult that he found people he could call his friends. Now obviously Otto is not outrunning Garfield, and Garfield catches up, but luckily for my boy Otto, Ram comes out of nowhere and defends him. Meanwhile, at the ruins, Emilia is telling Subaru to reprimand her for running away, to punish her, to give her a nice talking to. He realizes Emilia is extremely negative towards herself, and so to lift her out of this negativity bias towards herself, he confesses to her yet again. She believes he's just pushing his version of an ideal Emilia onto her, but he says he knows of her flaws and he loves her regardless. Subaru then makes his move and plants his lips onto hers. She doesn't reject it, and it gives her the courage she needs to believe in herself.
You see, I had this issue with this moment in the anime as well, because I see it as Emilia being emotionally vulnerable. I'm just saying.
The two exit the ruin to be greeted by a buff 14-year-old Garfield who beat both Otto and Ram. God damn. Subaru realizes that Garfield isn't actually a bad boy, he's just insecure. His whole life, Garfield has believed that his mother left him because she thought the outside world would be better than looking over her children in the sanctuary. Garfield reveals that his mother actually died when trying to leave the sanctuary due to a landslide, and that's the reason he feels the need to fight back against Subaru's campaign to liberate the sanctuary. And so Subaru and Garfield fight, and Subaru actually wins due to a power given to him by the Sloth Witch Factor, which he calls the Invisible Providence. Best Girl Ram then appears and tells Garfield to stop being basically a whiny little piece of shit and to confront his past. Garfield does and figures out that his mother didn't leave the sanctuary to leave them, it was so she could go and find their father. Accepting his past, he and Subaru make peace with each other. Emilia then retakes the trial after Subaru promises to give her a proper date after it's all over. In the dream world of the trial, Emilia encounters Echidna, and the two encounter the memories of the princess room from Emilia's childhood home in the forest. They also see Mother Fortuna, Emilia's aunt, who used to take care of her when her parents were busy. Following a spirit to town, young Emilia sees Mother Fortuna talking to members of the witch cult, including
Taida Tanto, Betelgeuse Romane Conti.
Betelgeuse talks to Fortuna about the seal, with her responding that it's still safe and that Emilia's parents would be very angry if anything happened to it. And so little baby Waby Emilia commences to sneak out of the princess room every once in a while to spy on Mother Fortuna and Betelgeuse, who comes to visit once in a while with the witch cult. One day, Emilia asks a spirit to guide her to the seal and finds that it's a large door in the middle of a clearing. Little Emilia then encounters Betelgeuse, and her, Fortuna, and Betelgeuse all develop a very close relationship, much like a family. While Fortuna discovers that Emilia is a spirit user, Betelgeuse accidentally reveals that her parents have died. While Fortuna tells Emilia they'll talk about her parents one day, the Sin Archbishop of Greed, Regulus Corneas, appears and confronts them. Outside of the trial, Shima reveals to Subaru and the group that having undergone the trial herself, she has experienced some of the memories of the original Ryuzu mayor. A very long time ago, the original Ryuzu befriended Beatrice and hung out with her anytime Echidna, her mother, was busy, and this led to her meeting a young man named Roswaal. And now back in the trial, Fortuna and Betelgeuse protect Emilia from Regulus. While attempting to protect Emilia from Regulus, a white-haired girl named Pandora appears, looking for the key and the seal. Betelgeuse tells Emilia and Fortuna to run and opens a box which allows him to use the unseen hands. This makes Pandora extremely happy because let's see what all them hands can do, Betelgeuse, and she gives him the title of Sloth. Echidna then convinces Emilia to face her past self as she sees Fortuna saying goodbye to her. The Emilias, young and old, break down when Fortuna tells her that she'll always love her and be with her and gives her to Archie so that she can escape. Unfortunately, Archie is attacked by the Black Serpent, but he gets Emilia to escape on her own before he succumbs to the infection. Fortuna then appears to help Betelgeuse in the fight against Regulus and Pandora. When Pandora tells Regulus to calm the hell down, he literally kills her, but she just reappears somewhere else. And so Pandora sends him away and the two get ready to fight with her. Emilia, the young one wanting to save everyone, heads to the seal where she's faced with Pandora waiting for her. Bro, Pandora's on some Naruto shit over here. The Pandora at the door then reveals to Emilia that as the witch's daughter, she possesses the key to unlock the seal. Emilia knows about stranger danger and she decides not to unlock it because of her promise with Mother Fortuna.
Wasn't there a thing where Pandora couldn't actually see the door, but Emilia could?
Fortuna and Betelgeuse then appear to fight against Pandora. Betelgeuse, however, in his enraged haze, kills Fortuna instead. Emilia's grief causes her to freeze the entire forest. Pandora then disappears along with a Betelgeuse who has gone insane due to his actions. The present Emilia accepts her past and her actions and decides to save her frozen friends and families and build for them a world in which they can live in peace and happiness. Echidna calls her selfish and optimistic, but Emilia stands by herself and her dream and passes the trial. Subaru, Otto, and Garfield then confront Roswaal, who reveals that Otto, due to being a basically insignificant piece in his prophecy, has allowed Subaru to rewrite the game. Subaru then proceeds to request Roswaal to surrender, stating that they know the true purpose of the sanctuary. We learn that in the past, Roswaal was saved during his magical release period by a French kiss from Echidna.
Roswaal, you weren't saved, you were molested.
He then fell in love with her and became her student.
Roswaal, you were groomed. Like, you weren't saved, buddy. You weren't saved!
He developed a close bond alongside her, Beatrice, and Ryuzu as they all looked after the sanctuary. One day, however, the devil of melancholy Hector appears. Roswaal is worried because the barrier for the sanctuary is not yet complete. The original Ryuzu volunteers to be the core of the barrier as a thank you for Echidna saving her life. And so Roswaal and Echidna both buy time fighting Hector, which allows Beatrice to take Ryuzu to the core, where she soon realizes she'll be sacrificing herself. Beatrice attempts to convince her not to, but Ryuzu is a big girl and she does it anyways. Back in the present, Subaru asks Roswaal to call off the attack on the mansion. Roswaal then refuses, saying that a couple changes are not going to overwrite the tome's will. And so Roswaal and Subaru get into a fight where Roswaal says Subaru is just like him in his absolute and obsessive love for Emilia. He says that Subaru, just like him, pushes his ideals onto Emilia. Subaru, of course, denies this and begins to defend Emilia. At the same time, Emilia
Thus proving his point.
leaves the temple where she sees Ram waiting for her out in the front. And so the surrender negotiations with Roswaal have failed. Subaru, Otto, and Garfield plan to head back to the mansion to stop Elsa. Ram then appears and tells Emilia about Subaru's plans. While Ram is telling Emilia to save Roswaal from his obsessive delusions, the man appears himself. And so Emilia heads back in to start the second trial and Roswaal heads off on his own. He is confronted by Ram wielding the tome. She is preparing to fight him as retribution for being a servant to the man who burned down her village. Roswaal, however, is planning to summon the Great Rabbit by using the extra mana in Ryuzu's crystal to bring down Snowfall. Puck then appears and the two begin to fight against Roswaal. At the mansion, Elsa starts her attack on Petra and Frederica. Luckily, a Garfield who is ready to throw these hands appears. Subaru also appears, comforting Petra and going on to rescue Beatrice. So while Garfield and Elsa are engaging in hand-to-hand combat, Subaru confronts Beatrice in the library. Beatrice starts her bullshit, "Are you that person?" shit, and when Subaru tells her he's not, she kicks my homie out the library. Subaru then regroups with the gang and
Subaru could have literally solved that situation by saying that he was and dragged her out.
they encounter Melee. Frederica stays back to fight her while the others go into a secret passageway where they encounter Guilty Lau, a big-ass kitty cat. Meanwhile, Emilia takes the second trial where she ends up in an alternate present. In this alternate world, she's happily living in the village with Fortuna and Betelgeuse.
I thought this was the third trial. I thought the second trial was the memories with Thingo, and this was the third trial.
Then has a conversation with Archie, who's still alive in this world. Emilia thanks Echidna for showing her this world, and Echidna tells her she hates her guts before disappearing. Passing the second trial, Emilia exits the ruins and is met by amazing support from both villagers and demi-humans. She enters the ruins once again to take the third trial, the disaster that has yet to come. Meanwhile, the mansion catches on fire while Subaru and the group are fighting with Guilty Lau. Otto, Rem, and Petra escape while Subaru stays back to save Beatrice. Back at the sanctuary, Emilia successfully passes the third trial. During the trial, she encounters the witch Minerva. Minerva tells Emilia that Echidna was too upset to attend the tea party with Emilia. Emilia and Minerva talk about Emilia's mother, and before Emilia leaves, she tells Minerva that the next time they see each other, they'll all have a tea party together, including Echidna. Emilia wakes up from the tea party and goes over to Echidna's grave. There, she undoes the magic that holds the barrier on the sanctuary together.
Undoes.
However, upon exiting, she finds the mansion covered in snow due to a blizzard. Back at the mansion, we find out that Elsa is nigh invulnerable due to the fact that she's a vampire. This doesn't mean she can't be killed, however, and Garfield kills her by dropping the rock pig's corpse on top of her.
Who could have thought that the way to kill a vampire is to crush them with something? Huh.
I think he misunderstood what people meant by beating meat. During this,
What the fuck?
corpse on top of her. I think he misunderstood what people meant by beating meat. During this, Frederica successfully escapes with Melee. Back at the sanctuary, Puck and Ram continue their battle against Roswaal. Ram then confesses her undying love for Roswaal, which completely bewilders him. She manages to steal Roswaal's tome and throw it into fire just as Roswaal, who is extremely angry, Hadokens her into a different world. As the snow begins to fall on the area of the battle, Puck realizes that Roswaal's spell has been activated. And so Puck goes to help the others basically survive, and Roswaal stays behind and begins healing the unconscious Ram, who's not dead yet. See guys, he isn't all that bad. Emilia then learns that Puck has used most of his magic to save the villagers and demi-humans as they take refuge in the graveyard. She heads over to the crystal where all the Ryuzu clones have gathered. Shima then fuses with the original Ryuzu mayor who is powering the barrier. Emilia and Ryuzu gang then find Roswaal and Ram. The latter takes them to safety while Emilia stays behind to fight against the Great Rabbits. At the mansion, Beatrice is reflecting on her life when Echidna first instructed her to watch over the library. She remembers meeting generation after generation of Roswaals and waiting for that person to arrive to kill her. She still believes somewhere in her heart that Subaru is that person. Subaru then appears and attempts to coax Beatrice into taking his hand. He once again says he's not that person, so she butt kicks him right out the door. Subaru re-enters the library one final time, telling Beatrice that even though he won't live as long as her, he'll always be there for her tomorrow. And tomorrow and all the other tomorrows he can be there for. He tells her she won't ever be alone again and for her to choose him, and she does. The two then team rocket into the sky and appear next to Emilia as they begin to fight against the Great Rabbit. If Beatrice wasn't older than Subaru's great-great-grandma, he might have been in a little trouble. And so during the fight against the Great Rabbit, it turns out that Subaru and Beatrice can work together, with Subaru also casting the same spells that Beatrice uses.
Wasn't Subaru just a battery pack for Betty because he has a fuck ton of magic but he can't use it?
The two manage to trap the Great Rabbit in a big enclosure. Emilia then lifts the Great Rabbit horde into the air where Beatrice uses Al-Shamak on them. The Great Rabbits, not knowing what to do, begin eating each other. Subaru has successfully saved both the mansion and the sanctuary. Afterwards, Subaru and gang each take turns socking Roswaal in the face because that man deserves it. Roswaal then reveals that he has made an oath to never hurt any of them again, and they welcome him onto the Subaru team. Subaru is then also knighted by Emilia, and he finally becomes a knight. Good job, my boy. The two of them have a deep conversation on the balcony, and the season ends with them dancing the night off. And just like the season ending, so has this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like.
You know what would have been the best ending to this season? While they're dancing, it slowly zooms out, zooms out, zooms out. It keeps zooming, and you can see the trees surrounding the mansion. And next to one of the trees, you just see one of the bunny rabbits looking at them from a distance. Dun, dun, dun.
If you want to say something, drop a comment.
That would have been an amazing ending to the season. You thought the nightmare was over. No, it is just beginning. That would have been a freaking amazing end to the season. The rabbit is still out there, biding its time. Oh, that rabbit. I actually wanted to buy that goddamn rabbit because I used to have a Toyota. Now I have a Subaru because I didn't want to buy the Toyota variant because for whatever reason in Australia it's $5,000 more expensive for the same car. And I wanted to get that rabbit so I can be in the Subaru with the rabbit. It was so cute. Like, how many rabbits can you fit into a Subaru? It'd be fun. But for whatever reason, I can't find the rabbits. if I look up like Re Zero Rabbit, you get Rem and Ram dressed as rabbits. And if you look like Re Zero Rabbit plush toy, it's still Rem and Ram like dressed up as bunny rabbits. I'm like, God damn it, I want to buy the fucking plushie, but I can't find it. Like you can't, like, what the fuck? Anyway, I want the plushie. I want that. Like, I might just buy a rabbit plushie and buy a unicorn and just cut off the unicorn thing and just stick it on a random rabbit. I don't know. I might have to do that. But, like, I would think there'd be plushies of the rabbit. Like, why wouldn't there be? Why someone can't find the rabbits? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's just too many people looking up Rem and Ram dressed up as bunny rabbits. Like, it's weird because it's actually, if you go to Japan and you go to any of the used stores where people sell the things that they win at game arcades, there's a crap ton of like ReZero stuff, right? So it's not exactly rare. It's just, I can't find the plush. I want the plush. I really, really want the plush. All right, let's take a break and then we can finish the rest of Break Time. We're on Break Time Season 2, second half. So the second half is another 30 minutes to go, so it's probably an hour worth. So let's take a break. And now that, I mean, I remembered most of this stuff, but it's kind of good to make sure that I remember everything. And I'm kind of on the same page. But then at the same time, I really hope that the Break Time actually has something, because up until now, it's just been slice of life. It hasn't actually had anything meaty that's going to be, you know, useful to bring forward. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Quick little break. Quick little break.
Hey, did I hand you a shrinking potion by accident? I could have sworn that was the gender swapping one.
Don't be hating. She's fun sized, that's all. She doesn't even have to get on her knees to blow.
You want to add anything to that conversation?
Nope, I'm good. In fact, I think your new size makes you an even more formidable and stealthy ninja.